Find a comfortable seat. Once you found that comfortable seat, allow your eyes to close. Take your full inhale, draw those shoulders up to your ears. And then side out, let those shoulders drop down. Allowing yourself to come into the room, into your space, into your body, and into your breath. Kind of take in all of your surroundings right now. Inviting everything in to be part of the practice today. Taking a full inhale here. And let it go. Drop into that physical body. Scanning over today, checking in where you're feeling. Today we're going to be focusing on the heart and the small intestine meridians. And at the beginning in our first pose, I'll demonstrate where those are and give a couple of pressure points for each of those that are good for certain areas. Just scan over the body. Notice where you are, especially in your upper body. Notice how you're feeling. And taking an inhale here. Let it go. Start to drop into that mental and emotional body. Acknowledge the week, acknowledge the day. Give all that it entailed some validity, and then give it some loving kindness. Trying to let go of those things that didn't serve you in a positive way. But then holding on to those and allowing those to stay with you, those good feelings, those positive feelings of things that did serve you well. And taking an inhale here. And let it go. Allow your eyes to blink open. We'll come into our first posture, the ankle toe stretch. Hopefully this is becoming a little bit better. So we're going to be cushioned if you need it, if you need something more under your feet. And then sit back on those heels to start. Actually sit back on the toes. The toes are going to be tucked. And just settle in. So again, if it's too much to be on your heels, you can always put a block underneath them. You can even lean forward ever so slightly. But then just allowing yourself to be here. So we're going to have 1 minute for each of these poses. Go back and forth for 6 minutes. You've been practicing with me, you know the drill. So talking a little bit about the heart meridian. The heart meridian is the yin meridian, and its emotion is forgiveness. Both the heart and the small intestine meridians its element is fire. So I have a little red candle because its color is red. And in traditional Chinese medicine, the heart is considered the emperor of all your body. You know, it circulates the blood, but then it's also said to contain the shen, or the spirit, right? So your spirit resides within your heart. So our heart resides kind of over our emotional world, right? A lot of people, when you say, oh, you wear your heart on your sleeve, you know, you're thinking a lot, you're very emotional. So the yin deals with that. So go ahead and switch down to the pointed toes, maybe even lean back. So then with the small intestine, it's the yang, and its emotion is joy. We have joy. And in ancient Chinese medicine, it's said that it sorts through the pure and the impure, because the small intestine is right below the stomach, and then right below the large, or above the large intestine. And so it sorts out all those good things that your body needs, right? The nutrients, and it keeps it, and that creates that joy. And then all the waste is passed through, so you don't need any of the waste. And with that one, it's also fire, right? So it's sorting out, it's giving you nutrients. And then shifting again, forward, tuck those toes. And so with the heart meridian, it starts just in the armpit, and then it goes down the inside of the arm, goes down the inside of the forearm, goes to the pinky, then curves into the palm, and then it goes down to the inner pinky and ends there. So it starts at the armpit, down along the arm, so we're probably going to be using some arm poses today. And when you are in imbalance in this meridian, a lot of anger can come up, annoyance, rage, different parts of dis-ease or disease that happen, heart issues, continually having grief in your life, a lot of unrest, insomnia, sometimes some shoulder pain. That also is with the small intestine, which we'll find out in a moment. And so all of those things are related to the heart meridian. So go ahead and switch, point those toes, maybe lean back if it feels okay. And so the small intestine, it starts out to the outer pinky. So it starts to the outer side of the pinky, comes up the outer side, and then it comes up the back side of that arm. The back side of the arm, it comes right up to the shoulder blade. There's a great little trigger point right there at the shoulder blade for a little pressure point. But then it zigzags on the shoulder. It comes up to the base of the neck. There it splits. Part of it goes down into the heart, the small intestines, the stomach, and the diaphragm. But then the other part continues up the neck, the outside of the neck, onto the cheek, up the cheek, and then it ends just outside the ear. And that's another good pressure point for the small intestine. So sometimes when the small intestine is imbalanced, go ahead, tuck those toes again. Last round here. Lots of the imbalances for emotions can be grief, a lot of suffering, a lot of sadness, so deep sadness with the small intestines. When you have disorders or dis-ease, it can affect the teeth, the skin, like I said, shoulder issues, the sinuses, since where it ends, and then stomach issues. So a lot of those different dis-eases that happen with that. So that's kind of what we're going to play with today. We're going to obviously get into other ones because obviously we're not targeting many of those in these poses. But we're going to target those as our sequence tends to go along here today. Couple of affirmations if you want to stay with them, if something sits with you, if one of those areas that you have some dis-ease in or discomfort, go ahead and point those toes. For the heart is I love, always a great affirmation, I love. Another one for the heart is I forgive. It is the meridian of forgiveness. And the other one is my heart is forgiving. So it's always a great one. If you're feeling like you're a little bit annoyed or angry, those are some great affirmations to practice with today when we target that heart meridian. When it comes to the small intestine is about joy. So there's a great affirmation that is, I am joyful and life is great. I feel like that one targets me today. So I think I'm gonna go for that one. I am joyful and life is great. And these affirmations come from Louise Hay. She's great. I love her affirmations going along with body healing. And go ahead and shift your weight forward, bring those feet to the side, and then bring those legs out in front and just pause there, taking those legs out. Just kind of notice the sensations that are happening there. And then listening to your body and how it feels. Start to bring some movement into those limbs. If it feels good to point and flex, if it feels good to rock them back and forth or bounce, whatever's going to feel good for you. Sometimes a little wiper legs feels good. So again, whatever's going to feel good to you. Just kind of noticing that sensation that's been happening. So then our next pose, we are going to go into child's pose just for a moment. So using any props that you need to for child's pose under your hips, under your knees, so that you're able to be comfortable. With our child's pose today, I'd like us to go a little bit wider in our stance, and I'm going to face you. So I'm going to be a little bit different angle, just so you can kind of see, because I'm going to do a little bit something different with our arms today to target that heart meridian. So as you go ahead and find your child's pose, make your knees a little bit wider if it's comfortable. And then just take those arms straight out in front if that feels good. Head can rest on a pillow, it can rest on a block, whatever's going to feel best to you. So just kind of take a minute to sort things out, get yourself comfortable, and ease into this pose. So we are targeting that heart meridian. Since our arms are stretched, we're getting the inside of that arm. We're also targeting the hips, the knees, the ankles. Just kind of notice what happens if you breathe a little deeper here. And taking a full inhale here. And let it go. Slowly slide your elbows back, so you're kind of propped up on your elbows. And then you're going to take your right arm, slide it underneath your left. Extend that arm toward the left. Your palm's going to face up, and then let your head drop down. If it doesn't quite reach the floor and it causes pain in the neck, prop it up on a pillow or a block. And then that top arm's going to come rest on your hip. If it's okay, maybe the back of your hand finds your upper back or your mid back or even your opposite hip. So that top arm is targeting that heart meridian, it's compressing it. And that bottom arm is stimulating the back of your arm, which is your small intestine. It's getting into the shoulder. But then again, of course, we're still targeting the hips, the knees, and the ankles. Just see if you can breathe into this pose. We won't be here a super long time, just about 3 or 4 minutes on each side. And again, if it's too much for your hand to be behind your back, you don't need to leave that there. You can take that top hand and reach it forward over your head, kind of like downward facing dog, and let that arm rest on the head. So yeah, that is an option as well. Just noticing those sensations as you breathe. Maybe reminding yourself if you're using that affirmation, just repeating that silently to yourself a couple times. About 1 more minute here. Taking full inhale here. And let it go. Taking that top arm, bringing it down first. Pressing into that elbow and slide that right arm out. Pause there for a breath. And then we're going to switch to the other side. Sliding that left arm underneath the right. Lengthening it out. Letting the head drop down, maybe onto a pillow, onto the floor, whatever needs for you. And then taking that top arm, bring it by your side. Just notice how that feels. And then maybe start to bring it back behind your back. Maybe over to your opposite hip. And then just kind of let everything relax down into the floor. Take a few deep breaths here, settling in, noticing those sensations, and then finding some stillness. Repeating that affirmation to yourself a couple times. And then just kind of scan over the body, notice where you might be holding any tension. And see if you can relax. See if you can let go energetically of that muscle. Maybe breathe a little deeper. Take about 1 more minute here. And taking a full inhale here. And let it go. Slowly take that top arm out. Press into the elbows, slide that left arm out. Pausing there for a moment, take a couple breaths. And then slowly pressing yourself up, coming all the way up, sitting down, bringing those legs out front. And again, you can keep the legs straight. You can bend the knees, whatever you need. And maybe it feels good to just sit in a little tuck position, dropping the head down. Just noticing the sensations that are happening in the body there. And maybe bring those hands back behind you. Place your feet about hip distance apart. Just press in the hands, lift the hips. Get those hips out of that deep flexion, that bending. Opening up the front part of the hips for a moment. Opening up the arms. And then slowly allow yourself to drop back down. And then take a seated position. So from here, we're going to go into what's called Dragonfly, or we're going to do half Dragonfly. And with this one, take your right leg out first, draw your left leg in. We're going to target that left side. And then you might want to place something under your knee if it gets a little too straight. Remember that extended leg is going to be relaxed. And then maybe have a little something you could prop yourself up on when it comes to your arm. Because we're going to take this top arm and we're going to bring it over our head. So your head might get a little heavy, so you might need to prop something up on your head. Or just if you can, lengthen it down if it feels okay to let it relax. So you're just going to kind of lean over that right leg. And then take that left leg, bring it over the top of your head. And then just let it bend. Good. See if you can stay with the side twist. Try not to lean forward. That's kind of where that bottom hand might need to be a kickstand. And then just find that edge of that side stretch. So again, we're targeting the spine. We're targeting that side waist, getting into the meridians there. Getting into that heart meridian of the outside of that upper arm. Getting into the armpit. We're definitely targeting a little bit of that low back of the spine, shoulder. Just kind of notice your breath here. When things feel a little bit of tension, or on that right side, a little deeper compression of that right side, we tend to hold our breath or shallower breaths. See if you can at least take normal breaths. If not, maybe even deepen it just a little bit. Just kind of scan over the body, notice where you might be holding any tension. Let's see if on your next exhale you can let that relax. And if you are a little bit more open in this side waist, more than myself, maybe that bottom arm is reaching toward the foot, or maybe that bottom arm is even reaching toward your bent knee. And you're lengthening out, so you're kind of compressing again into the meridian on the back of the arm. So you have that as an option as well, if you're there. Just a few more cycles of breath here. Noticing those sensations as you breathe. Taking a full inhale here. Let it go. Slowly bring that top arm down by your side. And then using your hands, press into the floor, press yourself back up to center. Nice and slow, no rush. Good, once you're there, pause. Cool. Go longer already. We're going to slowly transition to the next side. So help that right leg in. Help that left leg out. Just kind of notice how this side feels. Start to lengthen toward that left leg, toward the side. Keep your right arm beside you to begin. And then start to take that right arm overhead. Let it just rest on your head if it feels comfortable. If that doesn't feel comfortable, you can always bring the arm back behind you again. So sometimes shoulders are different. Or maybe you bring it in front of you a little bit so it's less stress on the shoulder if you need. Should have probably mentioned that on the other side, sorry. And then just settle in this first minute, just kind of notice where you are. And then notice the sensations of your breath. Finding that edge, pausing there. Letting go of any muscle energy that you're holding on to, maybe in the jaw, the shoulders, or that extended leg. Maybe repeating your affirmation to yourself a couple times here if you're using that. And as that edge dissipates, finding your edge again, settling in. And I find sometimes just finding a new edge is just deepening my breath sometimes. Taking larger breaths, especially when one side is compressed and the other side is opening. Just a few more cycles of breath here. Taking a full inhale here. And let it go. Slowly taking that top arm down first. And then helping yourself with your arms, slowly bring yourself back up. No need to rush. And just pause when you're at the top. And then when you're ready, slowly draw that left leg in. Draw the right knee up. Just sit in a little tuck position, rounding forward. Resting your forehead on your knees. Just kind of letting that pose soak in. Letting things return and stretch back into normal. Take some time, take any other motion you might need to let that go. And then we're gonna slowly, when you're ready, transition to your belly. Have either a pillow or a blanket, something you can prop your elbows up on. So we're gonna be on our belly, but we're gonna use it a little differently. So we're going to Sphinx, but again, we're gonna target the arms. So we're gonna do little eagle arms on our belly. So I'm gonna bring a couple of pillows. That one's probably plenty. We're gonna lay down onto the belly. And again, I'm just gonna face you so that you can kind of see what's happening. And so from here, you're going to bring those elbows forward onto the pillow. So your chest is getting a little bit closer to the floor. And then just see how it feels. Take that left elbow over the right? And then see if you can bring your palms to touch. So you're gonna kind of twist your arms together. And then you're gonna rest your forehead on your hands. And then this is gonna really target the backs of the shoulders here. So you're getting into that small intestine meridian. So you're opening those up. You're compressing those meridians that are in the arms. So running down to those pinkies, maybe you can even press your pinkies together, right? So there's a little bit of activity there. And then see if you can relax the legs. So sometimes when we have tension in our arms, our legs like to take some of that away. And then direct your breath between your shoulder blades. And again, if you feel like maybe this isn't enough sensation, you can always prop your elbows up a little bit higher. But if you're feeling it, you're doing it, as my instructor Bernie Clark says. So if you're feeling any type of sensation in the upper arms, the shoulders, the low back, it's working. There's no need to be at the extreme of sensation. Any sensation is good sensation in some of these poses. Taking a full inhale here. Let it go. Slowly draw your head away from your arms and then unwind those arms. Take those arms out just straight in front of you. Let your forehead rest on the pillow. Take a moment there. And then go ahead and lift the head again, bending those elbows. And then this time that right elbow is going to go over the left. You see if you can bring those palms together, maybe even those pinky edges together. And then letting that head rest against the forearms or against the hands. And again, breathing into the back of your body. Letting those shoulder blades drift apart. Finding some extension across the back. Finding some compression into the meridians that run along the arms, those forearms, the backs of the arms. So there's a little bit of engagement there. And some targeted engagement of a little bit of compression of bone on bone, muscle on muscle. Maybe even gravity pressing down into those upper arms. Taking a full inhale here. And let it go. Slowly lift the head. Unwind those arms. Slowly bring those arms out forward. Allowing yourself to rest your forehead down. And then as you're ready, slide those hands back by your side. Press yourself back. Come into child's pose just for a moment. Allow yourself to lengthen out. Dropping down, dropping the forehead down. Just breathing there for a few moments. Letting that pose settle in. Taking a full inhale here. And let it go. Slowly start to press yourself up. Take any motions you need to along the way. We're going to make our way onto our backs. As you bring yourself down to your back, have something you can put under your hips as we're going to do bridge pose. So doing what you need to for that pose. Making your way down onto your back. I usually like to have a block and then I place my blanket over my block. And slide that under just for a little bit more support, a little bit more height, but it's a little more comfortable than just a block. Pillows are great. Sliding that under, right underneath that little bony area, and then slide it just a little bit closer to your sit bones, like toward the end of your booty. So it's more toward the end of that bony area, that sacral area. And then you can stay here. This might feel great, just staying here with this pose. Or you can add on just a little bit, maybe taking the arms overhead. So again, targeting that heart and small intestine meridian. Or if it feels good to you, maybe you start to straighten those legs, if that's going to feel okay in the low back. And that's where having that support just a little bit lower into the glutes. It doesn't press into the low back, it kind of helps lengthen that low back a little bit. But then again, let yourself just kind of relax into it. Let your chin kind of snuggle toward your chest. Taking this first minute to kind of find your edge. Making sure you don't go past the edge. You'll know if you're going past the edge if you can't breathe deep without clenching those glutes, that booty. So make sure those stay nice and relaxed here. And you can relax your shoulders. So with the shoulders pressing down, especially those shoulder blades pressing down, you're targeting that stomach meridian. You're getting into those 3 points on the shoulder blade. There's 3 little pressure points there that are really good for alleviating shoulder pain. I believe their numbers are 9, 10, and 11. They form a little triangle just there on your shoulder blade. So anytime you're putting pressure on your shoulder blades, you're stimulating that little pressure point, that acupressure point. Helping to stimulate that meridian. And again, the meridian lines are just energy lines that are flowing through the body. There's 12 main ones, but there's over thousands that run through the body, these different energy channels. There's the big main ones that correspond with our organs, the main organs of the body. So how the last pose, we opened up the back side of the body. Now we're compressing it with our body weight, gravity taking over. So we're opening up the front side of the body. Just finding that little bit of moving and getting rid of those growths, those blockages. Taking a full inhale here. And let it go. Slowly start to bend those knees if they're straight. Bring your arms back down by your side. And then slowly come up onto the balls of the feet. Slide that support out from underneath you. And bring those hips down to the ground. Just pause there. Just kind of notice the sensations in the body. And then you have the option to make any motions that are going to feel good to you. Sometimes doing a little windshield wiper legs helps. Feels good in the body. Dropping those knees from side to side, keeping the feet wide. Sometimes hugging the knees in feels good. So again, just listening to your body, noticing what feels best to you. Going with that. And from here, we're going to transition into Banana Asana. So a little side stretch again. This is one where I really like to have a little bit of weight on me, like over the top of me. It just feels good to place some weight over my hips and over my belly. Feel a little bit more grounded. And this is where I'm going to kind of demonstrate there's a little pressure point. It's for the heart number 7 right here. And it's a little pressure point that's said to be part of the spirit's door, like it's your way into your spirit. Like sometimes when you're feeling kind of sluggish, if you're feeling like you have a headache or something like that, you kind of press right here on the spot, right at the pinky side below the crease of your wrist. There's a little pressure point on the outside of your wrist. So on the inside of your wrist, but right to the outside, that pinky side. You just kind of gently massage that. So maybe as we're coming up, the arm that is extended up and the way that we're leaning away from, which I'll tell you which, you can kind of maybe put that little pressure point on there just for a little bit, and we'll do it on both sides. See how it feels. So to start, we're going to take our feet and bring them over to the right. So we're going to use that left side first. So our feet to the right. And then if it feels okay, maybe you take that right leg over the left to kind of anchor it in place. So you're feeling a little bit of sensation on that left hip. And then take the arms overhead if it feels okay and start to lean a little bit to the right. So stretching that left side. Let the shoulders be heavy. And then maybe taking that left hand, place it in your right palm. And then using your finger, like your index finger or your pointer finger, maybe your middle finger, just find that little pressure point. Just give a little pressure to it, maybe a little circular massage. Start to settle in here. Just having that little point by the wrist of where you're pressing. It doesn't have to be a super press, just a little sensation there, a little pressure, a little massage. That gives you a little pointed awareness to draw your awareness to that spot. Knowing that we are targeting that heart meridian, but also that small intestine meridian, again with the pressure into the shoulder blades with our arms up overhead. Targeting the spine, the shoulders. Just a few more cycles of breath here. Taking a full inhale here. And let it go. Slowly bring your upper body back to center. Hands can come down by your side. Uncross the ankles if they're crossed, and then bring those legs back to center. Just kind of pause there in a little mini shavasana, let go. Notice the sensations that are happening on the left side of the body. And then when you're ready, taking those feet over to the left. Notice that sensation on the right side. If it feels okay, that left ankle could cross over the right. Kind of anchoring that leg in place. And then take the arms overhead. Kind of check in, notice that spot on the pinky side. If you're going to press onto that pressure point. And then let yourself lean to the left, and then your right hand rests in your left palm. And you just kind of press into that spot, maybe give it a little massage, like a little tiny circular massage, maybe even just a little pulses. Just stimulating that little pressure point. Just kind of notice the sensations in the body as you breathe. Few more cycles of breath here. Taking a full inhale here. And let it go. Slowly start to bring that upper body back to center. Allow the arms to come down by your side. And slowly start to uncross those legs. Bring those legs back to center and just kind of let go into a little mini Shavasana. And taking a moment here, let it bend those knees. And kind of allow yourself to notice what you need here. Maybe you need a little simple twist, maybe windshield wipers legs again. Maybe it's drawing those knees into your chest, whatever's going to feel good to you right now. Allow yourself to take that. And then we'll take a brief moment, some time in Shavasana. If you feel like you would rather sit up, if it's going to be more restorative to you to sit up after laying down for a long time, you're more than welcome to do that. Otherwise, allow yourself to settle into a restorative position just for a few moments, about 3-4 minutes here. Allow yourself to settle in. Allow yourself to scan over the body. Notice those sensations. If you've been working with that affirmation, maybe say that affirmation to yourself 5 or 6 times. Letting that sink in with your breath. Letting yourself let go of anything that's not serving you. Just allowing yourself to surrender here. Mentally, physically, allowing yourself to restore. Just for a few moments in silence. I'll bring us out of Shavasana with a sound of a single bell. Take rest. Allow your next breath to come in a little deeper. And since you are at home, if you're feeling after that deep breath, you need to stay and restore longer, please do. Otherwise, start to bring some movement into the fingers and toes. Wrists, ankles, arms, legs. And then as you're feeling more aware, maybe reach those arms back, slide the feet together. Give yourself a long stretch. And then as you're ready, use your arm as a pillow. Roll over to one side, pause there, maybe even bending those knees. Check in, scan over mentally and physically. And then when you're ready, mindfully press yourself up, come back to seated. As you find that comfortable seat, allow your eyes to close. Bring your hands to your heart center. Allow yourself to be in the room, on your mat, and in your body. Allowing the strength, the energy, and the breath of this practice to help you as you transition off your mat into your evening and weekend ahead. We'll seal our practice in with an om or a sigh of the breath. Exhale fully here. Inhaling. Bow your head slightly. Take a moment. Think of one thing in your life that you truly are grateful for. Then holding on to that in your mind's eye as you raise your head with a smile. Namaste. Thank you for being